The courts have halted Trump's admin agenda a huge number of times. What are we talking about? We're talking about at least 181 times that they have temporarily, at least temporarily, halted Trump's agenda. That is a huge number. To give you that in percentage terms, in over 50% of the cases that are presented to courts, the Trump administration agenda has been halted at least temporarily. So Donald Trump, tries to do these actions with his administration, but the courts have been saying, hold on, wait a minute here. Then they have said that at least 181 times so far in just the first few months of this administration.
As if Pride Month wasn't reason enough to celebrate, CNN and Fox News just totally destroyed Trump's Monday. Poor mimosas. We have a pair of breaking stories for you today. First, CNN kicked off coverage today by doing a recap and overview of the Trump presidency. In short, the network declared President Taco a leading candidate for the most failed administration ever. Now, this is a longer clip, but trust me, it's satisfying. So you're going to want to watch the whole thing. Take a look.
Yeah, Kate, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, so I know what losing feels like, and I will tell you that the courts have halted Trump's admin agenda a huge number of times. What are we talking about? We're talking about at least 181 times that they have temporarily, at least temporarily, halted Trump's agenda. That is a huge number. To give you that in percentage terms, in over 50% of the cases that are presented to courts, the Trump administration agenda has been halted at least temporarily. So Donald Trump, tries to do these actions with his administration, but the courts have been saying, hold on, wait a minute here. Then they have said that at least 181 times so far in just the first few months of this administration.
Quite a number. On tariffs, some of the latest is this moniker that Wall Street we're learning that's being thrown around on Wall Street, which is TACO, an acronym for Trump always chickens out.
Yes.
You have numbers on that.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things, you hear these things going on, you say, okay, is this actually entering the mainstream culture? And we can see this right here in Google searches. The top term that was Googled with Donald Trump on Thursday was TACO. It was TACO. Indeed, get this, the terms Trump and Taco Google together up through the roof. Get this, 9,900% increase on Thursday versus Tuesday. So if you are wondering whether or not this Trump always chickens out and the acronym TACO actually has entered the mainstream, well, Google gives it away. It 100% has. And this to me is quite troubling for Donald Trump because obviously he trades on his name. He trades on the idea that he does what he says. And if all of a sudden you're associating Trump always chickens out with Donald Trump, well, that is no bueno.
So one of the things that you hear from the president and his allies is what's being blocked. What he's doing is exactly what he promised on the campaign trail and exactly, he says, what Americans voted for and put him in the White House again to do. How do you relate? How does it relate? And what are you saying in terms of how Americans feel about the president and campaign promises?
Right, exactly right. If the injunctions are being put in by courts, if all of a sudden he's always chickening out when it comes to his, tariffs, then all of a sudden Donald Trump can't actually do what he promised to do. And that, of course, is Donald Trump's bread and butter. And, even before the TACO acronym came into effect, our CNN poll asked, good at keeping campaign promises. Look at this. Just 48% of Americans said that Donald Trump was good at keeping campaign promises. Joe Biden's number in April of 2021 was actually higher than that at 59%. Now, obviously, that Biden number would go down during his administration. But if you compare where Donald Trump is right now in his presidency to where Joe Biden was in his presidency, Donald Trump's trademark is keeping campaign promises, and less than 50% of Americans say he's doing a good job, and north of 50% of Americans saying he's doing a bad job on the thing that should be a hallmark for Donald Trump, and he is failing at that in the minds of the American public right now, Kate.
This is an interesting baseline to keep, as you said, his ended up obviously falling. And to see where it goes from this baseline of campaign promises is very interesting hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear what Fox News has to say. Well, there's not much to really quarrel with in that CNN clip, is there? The courts have blocked the TACO agenda almost 200 times, which has to be some kind of record given the time frame. TACO has entered the vernacular. Joe Biden is beating Trump in the polls, which might explain why Trump now claims Biden was cloned. Seriously, I think the man must have seen Jurassic Park one too many times. And yet, all this acid tossed around by CNN still pales in comparison to what Fox News reported, providing a similar overview of the state of the taco presidency and its grand aspirations. Analyst Marie Harf had this to say.
Look, I think politically, he will continue to be a problem for Republicans. And let's talk about what these offsets are. Morally and politically, these are very tough things for many Republicans to defend. Slashing Medicaid, it's not just waste and fraud here. Millions of people who deserve legally to be on Medicaid will get kicked off of their health insurance. When we're talking about the Doge cuts, Elon Musk did not find widespread waste, fraud, and abuse. He did not reach his big 1 trillion number. What he did was get a lot of veterans fired. He shut down USAID, which around the world helps the most vulnerable people. And by the way, you know what country's doing that now that we're not? China. They are filling that vacuum. So Elon Musk standing up there with a chainsaw, talking about the average patriotic Americans who have served their country in the federal government across the country, not just in Washington, working for national parks, working for the Veterans Administration. That is a political message Republicans are going to have to continue defending, and that is a very difficult one, Shannon. And that's part of why Elon's leaving, but they're going to have to keep owning that all the way through the midterm.
Oh yes, Fox News, Trump's adoptive network, the channel that gave him political legitimacy through countless calls into their garbage tabloid talk shows, has turned on Donald Trump on, of all issues, Medicaid. Fox News is correct in reporting that Trump's budget abomination, which passed the House by just a single vote, would kick at least 8 million people off their health care. Harp also leaves out the points that it would also vastly increase the deficit, which places even more burden on younger taxpayers. Not to mention, its tax cuts would go mostly to the top 5% of earners in this country. So in other words, it would be the biggest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich in American history. It might be the biggest in human history. On the upside, perhaps because they sense the USS Taco is sinking faster than Trump realizes, several key senators, including Rand Paul, Lindsey Graham, Susan Collins, Josh Hawley, Ron Johnson, and Lisa Murkowski, have all indicated they are a no on the bill, at least in its current form. Trump can only lose 4 votes in the Senate, so for the moment, the bill looks dead. Now, that doesn't mean it will stay that way. I remember when media commentators in 2009 claimed Barack Obama's Health Care bill was dead, but eventually it resurrected and passed, so anything can happen. But this particular moment in history reminds me more of 1993. At that time, Bill Clinton's signature healthcare initiative had failed dreadfully, much like Trump's signature establishment of Doge. And Clinton's budget bill, which was nowhere near as radical as Trump's at the time, looked totally dead. In the end, it was saved by a single vote, which saved Clinton's presidency, but also cost the Democrats the House and the Senate 1 year later. Thus, as Trump continues to flood the media with his nincompoop, like saying Joe Biden was cloned, the real story to watch is the story of the budget bill in the Senate. If it fails, Trump will be totally politically dead, and you can watch Republicans in Congress start backing away from his toxicity. Republicans in Congress will need to create a new bill to keep the government funded. One that doesn't have these kinds of tax breaks for the uber rich, deficit increases, or that kicks the poor off their health care. And if you want to help boost this video and you enjoy, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video, and if you're stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments or just say, "Hi, thank you for your support, and until next time, I'll see you soon."